Good morning, friends. Happy Saturday. Can you believe this week is this week is Thanksgiving and then November will be over. It's blowing my mind how fast the last few months have been flying by. Like day by day, they might take a long time. Like one day might take forever to come to an end sometimes, but then all of a sudden the week is over, like looking back, and it just really flies. So it's crazy. It's just crazy to me. But this morning, I wanted to read a passage from Isaiah chapter 61. Hello. I see someone's on. I got a thumbs up even. 2 people are on. If you're on this morning, please say hello in the comments so I can say hey back. I would really love that. And I love to hear feedback. In fact, y'all, I have been really just so busy and just so kind of overwhelmed by all the newness and things I've had to learn and things I've had to try to put together since I've been working and teaching, that I have not kept up with other things in my life. Hi, Pebbles. Good morning. Hi, Pam. Nice to see you this morning. Thank you so much for joining. It is chilly this morning, although it wasn't windy when I was out walking with the dog this morning, which was really nice. It was cold, but I was dressed warm, and it was actually a really beautiful day. It was a really nice walk. So I took a long walk this morning, which was nice, and I needed that. But I was saying I've been so busy. My brain has been busy. I don't know that my physical body's been as busy as my brain. Can you relate to that? But just so many things I've had to learn and think about and plan, and it's really consumed just about all of my life. I think it's easing off. I think that I'm beginning to kind of get in a little bit of a groove, which is great. But saying that now, I'm looking back and thinking there's so much has been neglected, and I have not kept up with my emails and social media, and I haven't kept up with art and my books, and I have a lot of that I have not kept up with, and I want to. I want to. And so what I wanted to say this morning, before I get into this passage that I was reading today, what I wanted to say this morning is, if you would like to be on a mailing list to receive an email once a month on just a new piece of art that's out, something new that I'm offering, a book that I've been writing, anything. Even if I start a blog post, just having people that are interested in reading that. So if that would interest you, just send me a private message or just put something in the chat that just says, yeah, I'd love to be on the mailing list and just have updates. I don't like to do long emails that way. So if you got an email from me and you were on an update list, you're not going to get long emails. No, they'd be little notes and a link if you're interested in something. That's basically it. So if that's something that would interest you and you'd like to receive updates on some things that I have going on, my book, Mary, Dear Mary, was a book that I published on Amazon last year, just about this time. I was not happy with that publication, and so it's gotten a revision. It won't be called a revision just because it was self-published before. It's still self-published, but I've gotten the assistance of a publishing company to help me with layout. and the editing. And I think that is going to be a really good benefit for me. So it's being published by, it's being printed by Covenant Books, and they're working with me on that. And I'm hoping that'll be ready at the beginning of the year, soon after January. So it's just about done. We're on the very last stage of editing, and then it's just a matter of cover illustration and layout. And the layout's pretty easy. So that will come out in the spring. So just information like that, a new book coming out. I also would like to continue writing the short stories that I was writing that are the Borrow My Joshua Stones book series. And those I would like to start to promote those again and continue writing those as well. So now that we have a new year coming and whatnot, that's a good time for that. So just if you want to receive information, just pop me a little note and just say, hey, add me to your mailing list. Or if you think that you are on my mailing list and you haven't received anything, just tell me, I thought I was on your mailing list. That's all. And we'll take it from there. So I'd appreciate that. So anyway, this morning I was reading I've been reading in Isaiah for the past couple of months, actually, because I usually will read a half of a chapter or a whole chapter, depending on the size of it, every morning. So it's been a couple of months I've been in Isaiah, and as I was reading Isaiah 61 this morning, it was just reminding me of how this really reflects the heart of God for his people. I just love it. Now, that said, I'm going to read you this. It is talking about what the passage is talking about. I want to pull something out from underneath that reflects God's heart. Okay. And I'll explain what I'm saying in a few minutes. So the Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me, for the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. Right there, the fact that God would anoint anybody to bring good news to the poor, does that reflect something about God's heart? I think it does. God is compassionate. So the next line in that verse, he says, he has sent me to comfort the brokenhearted and to proclaim that captives will be released and prisoners will be freed. Well, there again, even though it's saying, it's telling a story, it's reflecting something about God's heart, isn't it? He sent me to comfort the brokenhearted. If God wasn't compassionate, why would he send anybody to anybody's broken heart? I think it reveals the love of God for people, for his people. And I love that. Now, when I read to proclaim the captives will be released and prisoners will be freed, I think of the Redeemer. I think of my own life I feel so free from so many lies and expectations that I've had on my life that I thought were necessary. And they weighed me down. They held me captive. So even though this is talking about prisoners in a prison, it does also relate to any kind of stronghold that we are stuck in. He came to set us free. And this is, again, a reflection of God's heart for his people. This is his desire for us, y'all. This is God's desire for us, his love and compassion. He desires us to get over and get through all the junk that we've had for us to live free and to be comforted and not brokenhearted. Okay, I'm going to go on. Verse 2. That was just verse 1. Verse 2. He has sent me to tell those who mourn that the time of the Lord's favor has come, and with it, the day of God's anger against their enemies. To all who mourn in Israel, he will give a crown of beauty for ashes, a joyous blessing instead of mourning, festive praise instead of despair. In their righteousness, they will be like great oaks that the Lord has planted for his own glory. They will rebuild the ancient ruins, repairing cities destroyed long ago. They will revive them, though they have been deserted for many generations. Foreigners will be your servants. They will feed your flocks and plow your fields and tend your vineyards. You will be called priests of the Lord, ministers of our God. You will feed on the treasures of the nation and boast in their riches. Instead of shame and dishonor, you will enjoy a double share of honor. You will possess a double portion of prosperity in your land, and everlasting joy will be yours. I don't think I even need to keep reading, because I think this reflects God's heart for his people. It's his heart that we live full, abundant, joyous lives. Do we have trouble in this world? Yep. And the scriptures promise we will, right? There's no way around that. But God's desire is not that we get caught in that trouble and stay there. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not that we have trouble and we're brokenhearted, or we're even that we're angry, or that there isn't oppression or any other trouble that we have. But what I'm trying to say is, though we have those things in this life, though we experience those things in this life, God's desire is for us to learn how to shed what we don't need, rise above, because he wants us to experience this fullness of life with him. That is his desire. It is his desire for us to have this joyous festivity, this sense of fullness and wealth, but not necessarily money. But it's his desire for us to feel as though we have it all. We have it all because we have him. It is his desire for us to learn how to. I wrote a poem at one point. I wish I knew where that poem was. It was years ago as an early Christian. But I gave the analogy of life with Christ as being like being in the center of a tornado. When I was living in Long Island, we had a rare hurricane that came over the island. And I remember, I love storms. And it wasn't a horrendous storm. I mean, we lost power. We had a lot of rain. But, and it was very windy, of course. But I love storms. And it was really fun to watch the clouds. And I remember running from one end of the house to the other, looking out the windows, just watching the clouds just whipping around in a circle. And it was crazy. Like, you could see the clouds in this wind, this hurricane. Like, you could actually see the hurricane in the clouds. I can't say that any time that I've been here in North Carolina when we've had hurricanes, I never saw the clouds like that in a hurricane like I did there then. And it was, I think, a Category 1. So it was a hurricane, not a tropical storm at that point. But all of a sudden, it got sunny. The sky got blue. It was the wind died, boom, instantly. And I thought, wow. I mean, I wasn't a believer then, all right. But I knew that as this storm was moving, we were in the well, first I thought, wow, did the hurricane pass? Is the storm over? Are we done? um, it was absolutely beautiful, beautiful, calm, sunny. And then I don't know how much time went by. I mean, this was a long time ago, maybe 20, 30 minutes. I don't know now. I don't remember. All of a sudden, that storm just kicked in again, just as fast as it disappeared. And I knew that we must have been directly under the eye of that hurricane. And in the eye of the hurricane, the storm is still going on. But we're not experiencing that whipping wind. We're not experiencing the turmoil. We're not experiencing the downpour. We're not experiencing anything but clear sky and sunshine. And that, I think, is a beautiful picture of God's desire for us. That while we are here on this planet, we will have trouble. But his way of life for us, there is a way for us to learn how to be set free from being caught in the wind of life's storms. There is a way for us to live in that peaceful place in God's heart where we feel this perfection of joy, this beautiful fullness and joy and celebration that we have. I love this one verse here, if I can find it now, about praise. I'm not sure where that is now. Maybe it's later on in this verse, but I remember thinking, and I may have shared this with you at some other point, but it's worth repeating. I remember going to church one Sunday morning as a young Christian, and I was on the worship team, and I was on my way to worship practice, and we were having some very intense upheavals with teenagers. There were 3 teenage girls in the house. I'd had a big argument with one of them. There was a lot of yelling and screaming and things going on before I went to church that morning for practice. And I just left the house because it was time for me to go. And I remember as I was driving to church that morning thinking, how can I go to worship? Because I can't be on the worship team this morning. I can't help lead worship this morning. I'm a wreck. I'm angry. I'm upset. I'm sad. I'm hurt. My feelings are hurt. My heart is broken. How in the world am I supposed to help lead worship this morning? I can't do this. And I was crying and I was upset, and I'm talking to God and I'm saying, what am I going to do? What should I tell them when I get there? Why I can't be on the team this morning? And at one point, which this has happened to me before, I'm rambling with God. And at one point, like I come up for air. Is this the best way for me to describe it? I come up for air, I'm quiet for a split second, and God gets a word in. Hey, you don't worship me because you feel like it. You worship me because I'm worthy of worship. End of sentence. He didn't say end of sentence. I did. Well, it hit me, and I instantly stopped crying. I realized that it didn't matter how I felt. Didn't matter what was going on in my life. God is worthy of worship. So I went that morning, and I didn't tell anybody on the team about my disturbing morning prior to arriving to church. I worshiped with my whole heart, with all my love for God, because I know He is worthy of that. And that's what I gave Him. And you know what? The rest of that day, those arguments didn't matter. What anybody said to me that day, they didn't matter. The fact that I was hurt, the fact that I was angry, none of it mattered. I worshiped that morning with my whole heart. And you know what it did? It changed me. It changed me. This is how we find our way into the eye of the tornado. We worship God. And why do we do that? Even when our heart is broken, even when we're angry, even when life sucks. And let's just face it, y'all. Sometimes life is just sucky. It just is. It ain't pretty a lot of times. So how do we find our way into the center where God is? We worship Him. Plain and simple. And if we need a reminder that God desires this for us, go to this chapter, Isaiah 61. There's a million of them you could go to. Well, okay, a million's an exaggeration. I have to stop doing that. There are so many you could go to. But here's one that I just can tell you right now. Go to chapter 61 because of Isaiah, because right here within this story, the heart of God is revealed for His people. It is His desire that our shame and dishonor would disappear and we would enjoy a double share of honor. Isn't that gorgeous? Isn't that gorgeous? He doesn't want to just see our shame and dishonor disappear, but He wants us to enjoy a double share of honor. He wants us to possess a double portion of prosperity in our land and everlasting joy to be ours. That's His heart for us. That's His heart for us. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a double portion of land. You know, I live in a townhome. I own 10 feet out from my property. Okay. This is not talking about physical land. I mean, in some cases, maybe it is. But let's go beyond. Let's go beyond. What's God's heart? His heart is that I would know Him so intimately. I would know His heart for me. I would worship Him because He's worthy. And my heart would be so full that I'm set free from lies. I'm set free from being disturbed by the trouble that surrounds me. And I feel my life is full because it's full of Christ. So that is my hope for you. That's my encouragement for you this morning. That's the word I wanted to share with you today. I hope that's an encouragement to you, and I hope you have a fantastic week, a great weekend, and a wonderful Thanksgiving, because by the time I talk to you again, it'll be the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Wow, that's amazing. But enjoy your week, friends. Enjoy your time off. I hope I see you next Saturday on Fireside Chat. Bye, everyone.